Bless you. I don't know about you, but I tried to watch a little bit of that Clash. That's hard. That's a hard watch.
The Pro Bowl?
No, the Clash.
Oh, the Clash.
They don't. It looks like they're not moving. You got a Romo clip over there?
No, just our live reactions to Tom Brady retiring.
Ah.
But that was me doing that was a good Romo impression.
If you do say so, your damn self.
$30 seconds. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this first Monday of February. Hope you had a great weekend as we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. How are you on this fine Monday morning?
Somebody got a good night's sleep. That was oomph. That was damn near charisma right there with that. How the heck are you, David?
Well, I got a good 4 hours.
Whatever you got, it brought oomph to the show. I'm fired up. I love it.
Operating on a little bit of adrenaline. It feels like a Tuesday morning after Monday Night Football to me.
Oh, that's right. You were in Jersey last night by way of Orlando.
Right, little Springsteen show with me and about 18 to 20,000 people down by the shore. Yes,
Outstanding.
Yep. 2 hours and 40 minutes. By the way, he's 73 years old. He played 2 hours and 40 minutes with no break.
Boy, he's slacking as an old guy.
He really is. He's starting to slow down. There's no question about it.
Giving you about 20 minutes less than he used to when he was in his 30s.
Exactly.
So Pete.
Man, I don't think it's a question of he's going to go on tour. I think it's a question of whether or not he's going to get the guys to go with him. I mean, Max Weinberg's like, are we done soon? I have been pounding these drums all night. Can I, take a rest, please? But that is the one good thing. It's, Mark, certain bands do not adhere to load management.
No, Springsteen's never been about load management. The E Street Band never been about load management. You are correct in that one.
No.
Boy, you and I were in different musical worlds last night because I did something I haven't done, and I'm not joking, probably 20 years. I watched the majority of the Grammys last night.
Wow. How'd that go?
I thought it was good. If I'm on an island here and I'm alone, that's all right. I don't care. I thought the performances were good. The hip hop anniversary thing they did was spectacular. So
Nice.
now come on. I watched some of it this morning when I got up because those things go really late, and I don't have the staying power that you do, David. I need my beauty rest. But
Is that what we're calling it?
no, that's all
right.
that came out at 6 a.m. in the
Okay.
morning, David. That's
Okay.
all that was able to fly out of my mouth this time.
Here's a question, because when you get in the 50s, like we are, these award shows oftentimes make you feel even older. All right. Did you succumb to that at all? Or were you actually feeling as if, I still got it?
No, I haven't had it in a long, long time. So I gave up on that a long time ago. But I was impressed with myself that I knew far more of the pop artists than I thought I did. Because a lot of the time, you know that song. I'm like, no, David, I'm someone who I didn't listen to pop radio when I was a teenager.
Right, you're a rocker.
I listened to rock from the time I was a little kid. I listened to the classic rock stations all my life. So I never was a pop guy. So the fact that I actually knew some of the pop artists, I was like, I'll be damned. That's another one I know. Besides, they put Madonna out to introduce one of the songs of the year, and she looks so out of it that it makes everybody else feel young.
Obviously, I didn't watch the second. All right. But I did read so that apparently Beyonce showed up like fashionably late.
Missed an award that set the record for the most Grammys ever won by a performer, and she wasn't there to get it because, well, LA and traffic.
So, right. I thought she missed the tying one, but was there for the one where she broke the record.
She was there. She
By the-
missed the tying one, was there for the broken one. But yeah, it was Beyonce. She can show up and she can do whatever she wants.
No. Oh, please. Queen Bey there. Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, on nights like last night, he's just along for the ride. All right. And his resume is pretty good. But 32 Grammys, by the way. I mean, damn.
The GOAT.
That's a lot. And she's just barely turned 40, right? She's like 40. I mean, she's going to do this for a little while. 32 Grammys. That's a lot of Grammys.
There are a lot of Grammys. That's the one thing I realized.
Yes.
When they're announcing that she had won 3 before the awards ever started to get her within 1.
Right.
Okay. That's a good start. Good pregame for you.
All right, cool. So you did the Grammys. Okay. You're current. All right. I'm living, somewhere between, 1975 and, 2002.
I would have rather been in your seat.
Okay.
There's no doubt. I don't know if I would have wanted to pay for your seat because
Probably not.
these tickets are getting pricier and pricier to see an artist. And it's one of those that with me, if I've seen the artist and they're doing this tour again, I'm hard pressed to spend that kind of cash to see them again.
Well, I mean, this might be, and maybe this is the focus of the poll question. That was number 7 for me. Now, granted, he's been going at this a little while, but that was number 7 for me. And the reason that I was so compelled to go, first off, I hadn't seen him in nearly 15 years. And secondly, kind of thinking this is it. I mean, it's tough to count on another tour when the lead singer's 73.
This is true.
So, he even did a song last night called Last Man Standing, in which he said, and it's about the guy who gave him his first start in a band. He was 15 years old, and this guy showed up at the house, and he was dating Bruce's sister. And his sister said, "Hey, my brother, your band, he plays a pretty mean guitar. You sure you don't want to give him a look?" And so Bruce ended up playing in that band for 2.5 years, which apparently was named after a shampoo. And that was his first band. And so the guy passed away 8 years ago, and Bruce saw him on his deathbed, and they had stayed in touch all these years. And it turns out that of the, group of guys, Bruce was the last man standing. And that was 8 years ago. So, I felt very nostalgic last night. I don't know what you felt watching the Grammys. I felt very nostalgic at the show last night, at times even slightly emotional.
I mostly just felt old watching the Grammys.
Is
Very,
that-
very old, very unhip, very uncool.
Can't you translate that to nostalgic? No.
Oh no. Oh no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
The whole thing of what people say when you watch that, you can't help it. I'm 53 years old. No. Young people, young music, a lot of music I don't know at all. I was surprised how much I knew. So there was a couple of things they were doing that I wanted to see. They honored Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, and Smokey did a song. And Stevie Wonder and Chris Stapleton did a song and did Higher Ground and killed it. And to watch the audience respond of all ages to see two iconic artists doing that stuff's cool to me. And like I said, the hip hop thing they did going through 50 years of hip hop in about 8-10 minutes was spectacular.
What I loved was how Seth Everett said he was feeling on Twitter. He said, watching the Grammys doesn't make me feel old. It makes me feel like I'm on another planet. I can't wait to see what he meant by that.
Well, we'll have to wait until Wednesday. But I do love when the live performances live up to the potential. And apparently, and I'm not a fan, but, apparently Harry Styles knocked it out of the park last night. Just about everybody who performed brought their A game.
Lizzo killed it. I mean, they were great. They were great performances. Mary J. Blige killed it. I'm with you. That's the whole part of that. And when you get great live performances and you see the crowd react. And the other part of it is, you talked about Jay-Z being there along for the ride last night. Not the way Ben Affleck was. J-Lo was the presenter, and Ben Affleck looked like someone said he'd rather be at Dunkin'. And there was no doubt. He made me feel young.
Well, I have to admit, the whole beard thing is not a good look for him. Okay, dude, lose it. I mean, your wife is very young looking. Okay, you should not be trying to look as old and raggedy as possible.
You don't think J-Lo likes the macho look?
Trust me.
Is that what
she's
you're
the one
calling it?
She's the one that told him to wear it that way. He does what she tells him to do. It's called marriage, Felipe.
Third time's the charm.
And you know what? That's another. And his resume is very impressive. I mean, it really is. We can poke fun at him, personally and otherwise. He's been a bit of a train wreck, and goodness knows he's made a couple of bad movies. But his resume is very impressive. And then when you're with her, okay, yeah, you just kind of seem as if you're the driver. And he's got an Oscar, for goodness sake.
Well, that was my, initial poll question today. And it's because I did watch the Grammys. Would you rather have a Grammy, an Oscar, or an Emmy?
Oh, look at you.
That's a great.
Look at you. Wow, you could only have one. Which
Right.
one would you want? Look at that. So an Oscar, obviously, movies. All right. An Emmy, television. All right. Grammy, music.
I'm posting that.
I think for a lot of people, it'll come down to Oscar or Grammy.
I think so too.
Although I will say, I always wanted, when I was in local television, I always wanted one of those Emmys.
Do you put the reel in every year?
I don't even know that I was ever nominated. That's not true. I covered some breaking news from time to time in my career, and as we've seen, Mark, sports guys are actually really good at breaking news. Why? They stick to the facts. They just get right to it because that's what sports is. So I know I got nominated one time. I do have CBS won best televised sports event of the year. I think it was 6 years ago for Army Navy. So I do have an Emmy award winning plaque. It's here on the desk somewhere.
It's a plaque that you have, an Emmy.
Right.
You
It's
have
not-
an Emmy,
Well, I have a plaque that says I was part of an Emmy award-winning broadcast.
but you
It's
don't know
not-
where the plaque is.
Somewhere around here.
Right next to that Miller and Moulton sign, still to get up on the wall in the David Moulton studio.
I know it made the move. I remember packing it. Let me look for it during the break.
Miller and Moulton. Unpacking after 15 years together, still trying to find that missing box right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, Buster Rhymes is here.
That's maybe who it was.
It was probably Buster Rhymes. Yeah. DMX died, I think, 2 years
That's
ago.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. It was
Rest in peace. The dog.
interesting, David. I looked at the set list from last night. It was the same. He's playing the same set everywhere. That's a very un-Springsteen-like thing.
I know. He made one or two changes from Wednesday to Friday. He played the Friday show, except for he dropped one song.
David, what was the Emmy Award-winning broadcast that you were a part of?
He just Army Navy. Did you?
I think I missed it. I'm sorry. It was said once and then not said again.
It was the Army Navy game. I believe it was the 2017 game.
Okay. Gotcha.
We should have won it. We were a little surprised we won it. I mean, it was a great broadcast, and I think we won it because it snowed. And so the broadcast, it was a terrific game. Last second field goal missed. Army wins. But it just looked great.
Do Super Bowls win Emmys?
Oh, yeah. In fact, usually that's what wins the Emmy for best live sports telecast of the year.
Oh, well,
but we did in 2013. We did the Kick Six game,
right?
And we did such a good job that at the Emmys, the other networks were congratulating CBS in advance. Okay, They were like, Grad, you're going to win. It was amazing, blah, blah, blah. And we were really excited as a group that we were going to win. And we didn't win.
What? What won?
I think the Super Bowl won that year.
Oh, my. Okay, but 2017 Army Navy was 2017. Yes, it was also the year that Brady had the comeback.
Yeah.
And you were part of that too.
No, it was the year before I started working for Fox.
Oh.
Actually, the 2017 season, the Super Bowl takes place in early 2018, but
Right. The 2016 season Super Bowl taking place in 2017.
right.
Yeah.
Adam, I thought he looked bored. And that he couldn't dance. That was the other thing he looked like. My wife can dance, I can't. I don't know if he can dance or not, but he looked like he couldn't dance.
Bruce Springsteen was dancing last night?
No. That Ben Affleck was
Oh.
not. Different conversation. You're
behind. He was reading Twitch, so it threw him off.
Oh.
He was reading the Springsteen part, not the Ben Affleck part.
Do you have a favorite Springsteen song, David?
Kind
of hard.
It is.
Do you have a favorite Springsteen album?
It would be one of the early ones. It was interesting, his playlist. Like, there's songs, he's not playing Born in the USA. He's not playing Jungle Land. He's not playing The River. He did about a 5-song set about quarter of the way through the concert. The beginning was amazing. And then he did a 5-song set, which was great music. But, Mark, I had it in front of me too. I had the playlist. And so I just kept looking down at my phone going, let's see if he sticks to what he's done. And I kind of circled those 5 and thought to myself, he could do 5 different songs here.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. First Monday in February. Hope you had a great weekend. So what was it like, no football this weekend, huh? Or did you watch? Huh? That was something different. The Pro Bowl. A series of skill competitions, Mark, and then 3 separate flag football games. In other words, they've become NHL All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, that went on too.
Yes.
The All-Star games have all jumped the shark.
They have. I took to Twitter because, I didn't watch any sports yesterday. And so I am out at a restaurant before the concert as the Pro Bowl is going on. And you know me, Mark. I get outside my home area code. What do? R&D. Start asking people. Just walking up to people at the bar. Hey, you watching this? What do you think?
David's the actor in the Progressive Insurance commercial in the elevator. Once he's on the road, he feels that anyone wants a conversation initiated with them.
And if they die, so what? You get told off. It's on the road. I don't know you. You don't know me. I mean, how bad can it be? Besides, we're out and about. We're in public. I mean, you go out to a restaurant. You're expecting you're going to mingle. Plus, not only that, I was, Mark, I wasn't eating. It was a formal restaurant, but I wasn't eating in the formal part of it. Where did I go? I went to the bar section.
Right.
Right. Had a little booth off to the side. Buddy and I were just doing our thing. And so I was asking people, and I was looking at Twitter, and just it was interesting, the reaction to the new Pro Bowl. And some people actually thought it was much more fun, much better than the Pro Bowls they've been watching. I saw people that said, you know what, this is something I could sit down with my family and watch. Okay, this was fun, and that it appealed to a younger audience, which, we just got done talking about the Grammys. What do you and I know about a younger audience, right?
Not a damn thing. We can recognize one when we see it, when we feel out of place.
Exactly. I mean, I felt, I don't know about young, but I thought kind of like I was, the middle age. No, actually, I felt ever so slightly young last night at the concert that I was at. And I'm 57. So that gives you an idea. I felt like maybe I was the... Right. Just... So then again, there were those that just said, wow, so this will be the last Pro Bowl, right? We can finally put this thing to bed. This thing is just awful. And there were a couple of people who participated in Pro Bowl weekend who said that it was a pile of blank. Literally, that's what they said. But then again, here's what's interesting. I did not know this, Mark, is that the reason we have the format that we have is that the league actually talked to the players. And the players were like, don't play a game. We're not interested in helmets and shoulder pads at the end of the year. We're tired and everything hurts. All right. Do not want to get hit again. And I'm not going to hit anyone else. Well, right.
They still did.
Jalen Ramsey made sure to lay out Tyreek Hill. I'm wondering whether or not that goes back. Does that go back to college? Is that something that took place, Jags Chiefs, Rams Chiefs? What are we missing there? That wasn't this year, right? That wasn't Rams Dolphins. They didn't play.
No.
What the heck? No, he laid them out pretty good, though.
Yes, he did.
At the goal line, preventing the score.
And controversy at the end that had Peyton up in arms.
Apparently so. Right. Oh, you and I once also, we can't understand. We're only children. We don't understand about the younger brother winning. What that does to a family dynamic, I don't know. So, but that's what they did. That's what they did. And we'll see, because, Mark, let's be honest. What does it all depend on?
The rating.
Thank you.
If anybody watched this, it'll happen again.
Yeah. So that's what it's all about. I believe last year's Pro Bowl did around 6 million, 6 to 7. So.
And they had enough of it on TV over the weekend. It was hard not to find. Between the game and the skills and everything going on, there was a lot of Pro Bowl television going on over the weekend.
Well, apparently it lasted like 4 days. I mean, it was ridiculous. So, but yes, this was kind of the made-for-TV weekend, wasn't it? Pro Bowl, NHL All-Star Weekend, and NASCAR with the Clash. And you watched.
I watched 5 laps of the Clash. I watched Ross Chastain's, a local guy from Southwest Florida. I'm like, did he make the race? I think he did. What's his car look like? And then it looks like they're going in slow motion around that short track. And I was like, this does nothing for me.
During those 5 laps, was there a caution? Because apparently they couldn't go more than like 8 minutes without a caution.
Well, I did see Ross wreck somebody, or at least spin somebody. So he's up to his, it doesn't matter where it's at. Ross is going to run into somebody.
Although, and obviously I didn't see it, but I mean, you have to give them a little bit of a pass. First off, they got 27, 28 cars racing inside the LA Coliseum.
No, there's going to be a lot of action. I know it, but I just literally, when I turned it on, the guy I watched hit somebody and I started laughing. I'm like, well, there's our boy Ross spinning somebody again. That a boy.
I mean, what's tighter quarters, rush hour on the 405 or the Clash inside the LA Coliseum? I mean, damn.
But yes, I mean, I did not take in an all-star game over the weekend, and I watched a decent amount of sports. I watched a little college hoop over the weekend. I watched just a wee bit of the Clash I mentioned, but I ended up watching a bunch of Pebble last night because they had primetime golf for me, David.
Oh, I know, which, for you golf nerds, there is
Pebble at night?
nothing better than West Coast golf. Nothing better. And I will say, there's like 3 names in this whole tournament, and one of them's atop the leaderboard. Don't know if that made anybody watch. All right, because he's not quite a has-been, but he can see it from where he is. But Justin Rose will try to finish it up today and get his first win in over 4 years.
And that did keep my eyes on it a little longer because there wasn't much else on the leaderboard, David. And it is going to be, it makes me really realize what this year of golf is going to be like with the Live Golf Tour, the PGA Tour, and their elevated events. When there is not an elevated event, there is not going to be much of a field in these events. It's just not.
This coming weekend, they've got the Waste Management Open, but that's the Phoenix event, and it is a jam-packed field. All the big names are in Phoenix. And it should be ridiculous crowds. 1, because it normally is. But 2, how about Phoenix hosting one of the bigger regular season PGA Tour events and the Super Bowl at the same time? That'll play.
What a week for Phoenix.
Hey, you going to the Super Bowl? Hell no. I'm going to get drunk and go to, 16?
Right.
At Phoenix?
16
16 or 17?
whatever the par 3 is.
Right. Yeah, no. I'm just going to party there for the weekend. Me and about 50,000 of my friends. We're going to heckle, a bunch of threesomes that come through. and most of the guys hate it, which makes it even better. They tell you what, Mark, Ben Affleck's look on his face last night, or the guys who want no part of that par 3 at Phoenix, which look on the face is worse?
You described what all those PGA guys look like on that hole. Ben Affleck at the Grammys.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. My biggest beef with hip hop is that a lot of it doesn't translate live very well.
Correct.
It's not a great live medium.
Mm-hmm.
And he was tight.
Steve, I think I was probably pretty close to average. Although what was amazing was there were a group of young people in the very front rows. And that was a VIP section. I'm curious what that was all about.
Someone texted, said that beef comes from a few years ago, Tyreek and Jalen. It says that when Jalen said he wasn't worried about a player who made the Pro Bowl as a return specialist.
Gotcha.
Someone tweeted, losing to Beyonce, got to feel like losing to Jordan in the 90s.
Yeah, but they didn't give Beyonce the big one.
Yeah, she didn't get Album of the Year. Styles did, right?
Mm-hmm. People were shocked.
It was pretty easy to call winners. I sat there and did not even knowing who the people were, and I'm calling winner after winner.
Let me guess. The crowd cheer helped.
No, because you don't hear the crowd cheer when they're doing the songs. No, but when it's the whole whatever what they call Urbana now, but it was like Bad Bunny and 4 other people. Well, who's going to win?
Bad Bunny.
It's Beyonce and 4 other people. Who's going to win? I mean, This is not that hard.
It's true. Coldplay was nominated for something. I'm like, they had an album?
I was in the same boat. Now I got to find out what the score of this game was at the half. This is the only thing I care about now. I happened to be watching SportsCenter yesterday morning, and they've got that lady who's their betting analyst now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you her name, but her bet yesterday was Magic first half.
They won.
60. Oh, yeah, it's a winner.
Ah.
That's a winner.
So what was the first half line like?
Half point.
Gotcha.
Magic getting a half a point.
Look at that. 62-58.
Yeah, they were down 9 at the end of the first quarter, too.
Yeah.
Just had to check that. I looked at scores this morning, but I forgot to look at that. I watched the golf right till the end. It was great. Right to the Golf Channel. It was fantastic.
How long did they stay with it on CBS? 6,
Right until
6:30?
7.
Oh, 7, 60 minutes?
Right to 60 minutes.
Oh, cancel that East
Well,
Coast and Central Time Zone news.
They had to. The leaders didn't tee off until 5:30.
I know. Well, first off, they don't have to. They can go as long or as short as they want.
Justin Rose hits it in the bunker on 6. Did you see the shot by chance? Did you look at it? So he hits it in the bunker on the par 5 6th. He's struggling. He made a bogey and a birdie, not doing much of anything. He hits a fairway bunker shot up over the cliff, to that blind shot to the green to about 8 feet and rolls it in for eagle. That was impressive.
15 seconds.
Oh, now we can talk NBA trade, Felipe. Look at that.
Headlines on Thursday.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Deeks, who covers the NBA, will join us in an hour. Joe Theismann to join us at top of the 8 o'clock hour. David Dwork, who covers the Florida Panthers. They begin the second half, although it's way past the halfway point of the hockey season. But you know how once you have an all-star break, they go, well, the second half. So the Panthers, who are out of the playoffs, host the Lightning tonight, who are very much in the playoffs. Panthers need to win. We'll talk to David Dwork about All-Star Weekend and the Panthers and what have you coming up a couple hours from now. But right now, it's time to get caught up to date on what you may have missed over the weekend. Time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
It looked good on paper. NFC wins the Pro Bowl 35-33. Of course, the Pro Bowl is now a series of skill competitions and 3 separate flag football games. But, hey, some people loved it. Some people think it's the worst thing ever put on television. So, what'd you think? Did you watch? Let us know. 21,000. Text us. Myles Garrett did dislocate his toe in the game. It's an injury that bears watching. All right. Deion Sanders' career was essentially ended by a toe injury. Jack Lambert's career was ended by a dislocated toe. All right. That's an injury that just is worth watching. That's all I'm saying. Derek Carr is now allowed, Mark, to talk to other teams.
Wow.
Yeah.
At least they're giving him a lot of time to do this.
Of course, the funny thing is that Carr's not motivated to help the Raiders. I mean, Carr could talk to the teams and be negotiating his own deal, and the team could be saying, well, why do I have to give up draft picks for you? Just chill out. I'll sign you in a little more than a week. What do you say? I'll give you the same contract you got now. I'll give you your $40 million guaranteed. Don't worry about it. Remember on Friday, we said that Joe Mixon had been charged with menacing, alleged to have pointed a gun at a woman. The day before, oh, by the way, they flew to Buffalo to beat the Bills in the playoffs. And I read a couple of lines from his attorney who said, you know, this is a mistake because this charge is going to go away. And this is making my client look bad, and my client never should have been charged. Well, Mark, the attorney was right. About 36 hours later, the charge went away. So it certainly gives Joe Mixon a bad name. But, you know, no harm, no foul, I guess.
I guess.
No idea what went on or didn't go on.
Yeah, I don't know how you can get charged with pointing a gun at someone and then apparently, I mean, unless she's just a bold-faced liar.
Unless right. Mm-hmm. So, some coordinator news. Cowboys named Brian Schottenheimer their offensive coordinator. That's a title thing because Mike McCarthy is going to call the plays. Meanwhile, Carolina named Ejiro Evero their defensive coordinator. He was DC last year in Denver. He interviewed for a few jobs, obviously didn't get any head coaching jobs. And so he's joining Frank Reich in Carolina. Both the Eagles and Chiefs have arrived in Phoenix, Mark. Get ready for Super Bowl 57. Philly is a 2 or 2.5 point favorite, depending on where you look. College football, let me tell you, Mario's got some work he's got to do. He's got to fill both coordinators. His offensive coordinator, all right, he fired him last week. Well, his defense coordinator just got up and went to Alabama. Kevin Steele is now the new DC for Nick Saban. That's after Friday night, Saturday, Tommy Rees left Notre Dame. He'd been there 10 years between as a player and a coach.
Look, we'll poach your players and then we'll poach your coaches. If we want someone from the transfer portal, we're going to get them. If we want your coach, we're going to get them because we can overpay. We're Alabama.
Exactly. You guys keep making all the damn rules you want. NIL, transfer portal, you know, just set whatever salary scale you want for coaches. Just let us know what the rules are, okay? And then we'll decide who we want. And that's just from your roster. Never mind the roster next year's. NBA. Kyrie Irving. Felipe, if the Miami Heat had traded for Kyrie Irving, what would your reaction have been?
I would have been pissed because the Heat or Brooklyn wanted 3 things: Tyler Hero, Bam, or Jimmy. That's a no, and that's a no.
Well, obviously. Okay, but I'm just saying if they had worked out a deal, okay, say it was they ended up settling for less, Kyle Lowry, a couple future first round picks.
I would have been sizing for my ring, you know.
Oh, so you'd have been for it if they'd have got it without giving up one of the big three. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a championship contending team if they get Kyrie Irving and keep that core.
It's why I wanted to ask that question, because Kyrie Irving, I mean, Mark, does anybody love a diva wide receiver more than me?
Nope.
I wouldn't have anything to do with Kyrie Irving, okay?
Well, it's the first thing I asked Felipe. I said, because, he and I have had a constant battle about Luka.
Correct.
Every morning. And I just looked at him. I said, are they the favorites in the West now? He got his Robin. At this point, you can't get a better Robin than what they gave him. It has to put them in the conversation for being the beasts of the West now, right?
I mean, look, for people who are wondering if he can play with Luka, Kyrie won a ring with LeBron.
Kyrie Irving requested a trade and within 48 hours got it. Yesterday being sent to Dallas. Now he's a free agent at the end of the year. Mavs have not yet signed him to a long-term extension. That's the reason, apparently, he requested the trade. He and the Nets have been quietly negotiating, and apparently the Nets wanted too much of the money in a future deal tied to actually playing. Those rat blankety blanks. They actually want the guy to have to play to earn his money. What an organization they have in Brooklyn. Which is why, Felipe, I'm a little surprised you would have been okay with him in Miami. He plays when he wants to.
He would have actually played in Miami.
You think so?
Oh, yes.
So he'd have changed everything. The Heat culture, he immediately hit there, and the Heat culture would have taken over. I think it's why the Heat wanted nothing to do with him, because I think Riley knew deep down, doesn't matter what happens, this guy is his own animal. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do, beats to his own drum, whatever cliche you want to throw in there. But
but
I just don't think he fit the Heat. I'm happy for the Heat they didn't get him, because I think it would have blown things up.
Maybe, but he can hoop.
Yes, he can.
Yep.
Yes, he can. Dallas, by the way, gave up two players. Dorian Finney-Smith, probably their best defensive player, and Spencer Dinwiddie, their third leading scorer. Dinwiddie, by the way, going to Brooklyn, where he was a fan favorite and had played really well there previously. Also, 3 draft picks go from Dallas to the Nets. An unprotected first rounder in 2029. So if 5-6 years from now the Mavs suck, well, the Nets will get the lottery pick. 5-6 years from now, Dallas is really good. The Nets will get a pick that won't mean much. And a couple second rounders thrown in. Markieff Morris goes from Brooklyn to Dallas. So 3:00 Thursdays, the NBA trade deadline. Man, I love a trade deadline. I really do. Absolutely love it. Get the clock.
Well, now that this one's done, start watching Toronto to see if they unload.
I know they won last night.
Everybody's looking at.
I know they won last night too.
Hey,
you can't have that, Mark.
I know.
You can't have the last 2 games before the trade deadline and you're thinking about blowing the team up and you go out and win.
Just quick question for you, David, and Felipe for that matter. The Mavs have played 54 games thus far this season.
All right, 2/3 of the way through.
Right. How many of the remaining games does Kyrie play?
So of the 28 remaining games, how many does he play? 20 and a half is the over-under.
Now there's a question.
20 and a half is the over-under. Will he miss more than a quarter of the remaining games?
I think I'm going to take the under, and it'll be close, but I'll take the under.
I think it depends on whether or not he signs a contract extension with the Mavs. If he doesn't, he's highly motivated to play. By the way, I don't think he will re-sign with the Mavs. I think he's going to LA.
So this is a rental.
I think he's reuniting with LeBron, or he's going to join Paul George and Kawhi in LA. Just throwing that out there. Steph Curry's hurt again. Lower left leg injury, guarding someone late Saturday against Dallas, ironically. And he's out for at least 2.5 weeks through the All-Star break. Earliest he will return is February 23rd.
Oh boy.
And Golden State's in the play-in right now. I mean, I know you can turn yourself from a play-in to a 3 seed pretty quickly.
Right.
Because that's how tight everything is in the West, but you can go from a play-in to out of the playoffs just as quickly as well.
Magic win in Charlotte last night, in part because Charlotte went 1 for 9 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. Magic won by 6. The Knicks beat the Sixers. At home, too, where they don't beat anybody. 108-97. Cleveland beat Indiana by 20. Toronto edged Memphis 106-103. What the heck's going on there? By the way, Denver had 4 of their 5 starters out last night in Minnesota. How about paying for that ticket? T-Wolves won by 30. Yet, New Orleans had 3 of their starters out, and they beat Sacramento by 32. So, who the heck knows in the NBA? NHL All-Star break. It came and went in Sunrise. Florida Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk won the MVP. You know, it's a mess.
They did some goofy stuff for the skills competition.
They did. And you had Ovechkin and Crosby teaming up together. I mean, what's the world coming to, right? Cats and dogs, please. Lightning at Panthers, 7 o'clock tonight. Can we get some angst? Can we get some animosity? Can we get some checking in a regular season game? That's what I'm looking for. Can we get some checking? I say yes. They don't like each other.
I know it's February, though, David.
I know. They don't like each other.
Not much of a checking month.
And the Islanders signed that Horvat guy to an 8-year huge money deal. College basketball, a couple of games of note. Remember when Temple went into Houston and knocked off the Cougars when they were number 1 in the country? Yeah, well, Houston's number 3 right now. They beat Temple by 16 last night in Philly. Women's action, South Carolina, UConn. South Carolina stayed unbeaten. They won by 4. Miami, a winner. Florida, a loser. We talked about it earlier. Golf, final round at Pebble Beach. Suspended. Justin Rose has a 2-shot lead. He's got 9 holes to play. He's got a 2-shot lead over 3 other golfers. If you want to know why it was suspended, well, in a 3-hour span yesterday at Pebble, they had wind, rain, hail, and sun.
And that wasn't even why most of the delays came. They were from Saturday.
Aaron Rodgers won the Pro-Am. Now, it was shortened by a round. They only played 3 rounds. I wonder if they'll go to that format going forward, by the way, because the pros hate the amateurs around. I'm wondering if to get more pros to play, will they shorten the Pro-Am? But Aaron Rodgers, won the Pro-Am, a 10 handicap mark. He said he hadn't touched his club since training camp. Okay, yet the team shot 26 under, and the pro he played with missed the cut.
He's a sandbagger.
He is a ringer.
Sandbagger.
Yes.
You call him a ringer, I call him a sandbagger.
Josh Allen finished 4 back.
Trevor Immelman called him out on it. Nance tried literally. He said they had 27 shots better than his handicap or whatever it was. And Immelman flat out says, we might need to adjust the handicap. And Nance was like, well, he's usually shot around that. And I mean, he defended it. No, he's a sandbagger.
The Clash. No, it was not a concert. It was an auto race at the LA Coliseum. 27 cars, very short track. You're not going to believe it. They had a ton of wrecks. 12 cautions and 150 laps. Martin Truex Jr., your winner. Ross Chastain was 8th. And finally, Mark, for those of us of a certain age, the Dodgers announced over the weekend they're going to retire Fernando Valenzuela's number 34. Fernando Mania, for those of you unaware of why he's relevant, look it up. It was a thing. Pitched in the World Series, won a Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, threw a no-hitter. It was a pretty big deal. And that, Mark, was...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
What? That's all I got. That's it. I recapped the whole weekend. You want more? You want more? How much more do I have to do, for goodness sakes?
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I don't know what happened there. I looked, I'm like, I'm going to read the guess. David just read the guess. What do I say? And I just drew a blank. That was funny. That was really funny. Saw an interesting story on SportsCenter over the weekend about the guy that came. It was the 5th anniversary of the Philly special, and they tracked the roots of the play back to the high school coach that came up with the play and how it got to the NFL. He was at a coaching symposium in South Carolina, and the Clemson OC was there. And after he walked up to him, and they were talking 2-point conversions, and he scribbled the play on a napkin, handed it to the coach, and they ended up using it at Clemson. And from there, obviously, that's where it gets seen.
Cool. Mhm.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Deeks covers the NBA, will join us in a little over 30 minutes. We have an NBA trade deadline Thursday, 3 o'clock. We had a pretty big one yesterday. Kyrie Irving getting dealt. We don't know if that's a rental or if whether or not he and Luka Doncic are going to play the next 4 or 5 years side by side. Of course, Mark, let's be honest. It doesn't matter if he's got a long-term contract. I mean, he just requests another trade.
There you go. Be tough to sign him to a long-term contract.
Apparently, the Mavs asked Luka before making the deal. They said, "Hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. We're giving up these two guys, and we're going to get you Kyrie. That means you're not going to have the ball in your hands as much." And he apparently said, "Okay." So, I mean, if he said no, I'm guessing they wouldn't have done it.
Who's
Right?
taking the last shot?
Luka. Unless he's stupid enough to pass the ball, then he ain't going to get it back.
But this is, this is fascinating. You love trades, David.
Yes.
The West is jambalaya. Nobody knows who's coming out of the West right now. You have been talking about whether it's the Lakers, when we've had minimal NBA talks, you've brought it up a handful of times that the West is there for the taking. Who is going to go grab it? And it looked as if Kyrie was linked to one of the two LA teams. I mean, they were the leaders in the clubhouse on any article that you went to about this, it was the Clips of the Lakers, every single one.
And apparently Dallas was involved as a partner in a three-way trade with either the Lakers or the Clippers. And then all of a sudden, I guess the Mavs said, well, wait a minute. How about if you just trade them to us? What would you want? And I said, well, this, and this. And we said, well, how about we give you this and this? Oh, all right. We'll get back to you. And they took the Mavs offer. They felt like they got better players for now. And the pick, granted, 6 years down the road, but unprotected. And by then, You have any idea what any team's going to be like in 2029? So there you have it. I like it, Mark, for Dallas for this reason, what you just pointed out. I have no problem if a team in the Western Conference goes for it this year. This may be your window. Like, believe it or not, next year, the Lakers are going to have cap room. I mean, the Lakers could add a third piece to AD and LeBron. If that's the case, they're going to be a handful. And another year, Kawhi back recovering from his injury. Okay, and the Clippers may have the deepest roster in the league. Golden State, they've been decimated by injuries this year. Figure they'll be healthier next year. I mean, this is a year where if you're Denver, Dallas, Memphis, Sacramento even, go for it. This could be that one year that we look back on and you see, you know, wow, that was a crazy year. Yeah, that was as you said, Mark, a jambalaya year. Like Phoenix was in the mix for Kyrie because, you know, Chris Paul's not getting any younger.
Now apparently they're in the mix for KD.
Exactly.
By the way, how about the failure of this Brooklyn Nets quote unquote era?
Can we just, there you go. Now, you know, obviously there are, including Brooklyn, New York, there are 17 Brooklyn Nets fans. But if by chance you're one of them, so 3.5 years ago, KD and Kyrie choose Brooklyn. There are 82 games in an NBA regular season. Now, granted, KD got hurt, and you knew he was going to miss the first year. So the first year, they were going to play 0 games together. So it's really in the last 2.5 years. How many games did KD and Kyrie play together? Remember, 82 games in a regular season. The Nets, I believe, since acquiring those two players, have played just under 220 games. Go.
Is the answer more than half?
No. No. I think it's like 80.
74.
There you go.
They didn't even play a full season together. You combine load management with injuries with, I don't feel like playing, get me out of here. They played 74 games together.
I think the moment that they ruined any chances that they had of ever contending for a championship is actually when they traded for James Harden. Because you remember that they had Dinwiddie, they had Jared Allen, they had depth, and then they traded for Harden, who only played with Kyrie and Kevin Durant 16 times. By the way, in those 16 times games, they went 13-3.
Remember, they had the big three together heading into the 2021 playoffs.
Yeah.
Kyrie got hurt against Milwaukee. Couldn't finish the series. Nets lost the series in overtime, game 7 by a point. Milwaukee goes on to win the title.
What if?
Well, but I mean, and Mark, we could have that in the NHL. I mean, whoever between Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, whoever comes, I mean, the second round series in that division could be the Stanley Cup final. I mean, and that's what it was in the NBA a couple of years ago, as it turned out. I mean, that was the best series, closest series. And if you look back, you go, that was probably the two best teams. And it was in the second round. And the same thing, Mark, could happen in the NHL, right? Boston against the winner of Toronto, Tampa.
Right.
That could be the cup. And like you always point out, the guys, you know, you're much healthier round 2 than round 4. The whole deal, you know, could even be better hockey. But
so I don't know if this is going to work. I'm with you, David. I applaud the move because we've been talking about the West for a few weeks. Whenever we talk about this league and say, hey, it's wide open. You're a big Luka guy. He needed a Robin. Now, I don't know if this Robin works, but he's got one.
Well, you're right. And it's what he wanted. It's what fans have complained about. Oh, his best teammate ever has been Jalen Brunson. Guess what? Now it's Kyrie Irving. One of the best point guards in this generation.
also, it's a scoring league. It's a perimeter league. Okay, if you go, well, they're not that great defensively. Okay. You know, well, they don't really have much of an inside game. Yeah, who does?
Don't care about the inside game. Defense will matter a little bit more in the postseason, but the West lacks defense from top to bottom.
And also, guys play harder in the playoffs. They'll be better defensively in the postseason because the guys will play harder.
And outside of Golden State, the West lacks championship experience.
Yep.
Kyrie Irving has that.
He does. Hit the game-winning shot in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't lack for confidence. Not going to be scared of the moment. Let's be honest. And I'm fine with it, by the way, if it's a rental. They give up they gave up a starter and a good role player, and they give up a first-round pick in 6 years. I mean, Kyrie Irving's an all-star. I mean, listen, I wouldn't put him in, but from a talent standpoint, he's a Hall of Fame talent. I mean, it's a 25-game rental in a postseason. He's highly motivated, by the way. He's playing for the last big contract of his career. I mean,
he's a starter on all 30 teams in the NBA. Put it that way.
Goodness, yes.
Yeah. And so, okay. I'm fine with it. You gave up, Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah, nice players to have, players who can help you win. But, Mark, honestly, right now, you want to face Dallas in a best-of-7 in the West? I don't know if they can win 4 series, but they sure as hell could damn near beat anybody in 1.
And 2, for that matter.
I mean, those 2 guys alone, I'm seriously, for over a week and a half, a 7-game series, over a week and a half, if those 2 guys bring their A game 6-7 times, who aren't they going to beat 4?
I still can't believe what Luka did to Phoenix last year.
Right. I mean, Luka with Jalen Brunson went to the Western Finals last year.
Now, I think they might have their hands full with Memphis because Memphis can play defense. But outside of Memphis, Denver doesn't play defense. They need a defender badly. I mean, between now and the trade deadline, Denver's got to go get another defender. Yeah. Sacramento? We really going to trust the Sacramento Kings in the postseason?
No, absolutely.
Hell no.
Oh, but do I love Sacramento?
They're fun.
You and one other person.
Right. My future son-in-law.
Your future son-in-law.
That's the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know.
We've got 2, everybody.
Light the beam team.
But so, yeah, and besides, come on. If I start criticizing teams that go for it, then you got to put me out to pasture, man. You got to put me out. Because I'm all for, and then besides, they gave up 1 first round. They can replace these 2 guys next year if they need to. Hell, they might be able to replace one of them between now and 3:00 Thursday in the trade deadline. I think it'll be interesting, though, because and I know nobody pays attention, but the Islanders made a huge trade late last week with Vancouver, got a star centerman. Well, within 48 hours, they signed him. And usually when you acquire a really good player who's going to be a free agent in a couple months, the extension either happens within 72 hours or they hit free agency. And to me, if you're Mark Cuban and or Kyrie, if Kyrie's like, no, I'll play this out. This wasn't really where I wanted to end up. So I'm good. I'll be curious between now and the trade deadline, Mark. Will they strike a long-term deal?
I don't think so.
I think LeBron will kill him. I think Kyrie's been sucking up for 2 years at LeBron. Please like me again. Please have me be your friend. And LeBron's like, well, okay. Well, then you got to get to L.A. I'll get there, man. I'll get there.
Did you see what LeBron tweeted after the news?
I did.
Oh, he's depressed. It's just me. End quote. Or no, maybe it's just me.
Yeah, he had the eyes when Kyrie asked for the trade, and then it didn't go so well. He didn't get him.
Maybe it's just me.
Don't worry. Just chill out a few months there, big fella.
And they're just getting started. After all, this is the NBA. They love a trade deadline more than David Moulton.
Wow. Miller and Moulton. Mark Deeks to talk NBA coming up in 25 minutes. Joe Theismann as we begin Super Bowl 57 week at the top of the hour.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. David, I know you didn't see this, but the DP World Tour, I just saw this tweet. This is Daniel Gavins, who won it. I think has a 3-shot lead going into the last hole, or maybe a 2-shot lead, and the guy in front of him bogeyed. He hits it in the water, drops, hits it in the fairway, hits it in the water, drops, hits the green, holes a 28-foot 7-shot double bogey putt to win the tournament.
Wow.
Right? DP World Tour tweeted it out. He retweeted and said, "Stop, reminded me, had nightmares last night." Talk about 7 irons. The hell's the caddy doing?
Got that right.
Oh, the Boston Red Sox trucks just arrived.
Oh, the new phone books are here. The new phone books here.
The trucks.
Yeah, the
it's-
truck with the equipment that leaves Boston comes down to Fort Myers. They get very excited on the local news about these things.
Don't, Felipe, it'll be one of the top 3 or 5 stories in New England news today. It is when the trucks leave.
Oh man. That's the
Well, here, I'm gonna go to NBC-2.com right now. See if it no, we still got that earthquake. Give him a minute.
Yeah, that was big.
When the Nets traded Kyrie, Rich Eisen said, "Congratulations to the Brooklyn Nets." That funny.
So the Sixers were up by 20 in the first quarter of yesterday's game in the Garden, and an Eagles chant arose. Fourth quarter, Knicks take a lead, closing out the game. Eagles suck chants.
Before the concert last night, there was a small Eagles chant that somebody was trying to start. A couple of Eagles fans saw one another.
This Canada Relief, this thing would only happen if David and I were at Publix together.
Right.
Our wives would just grab us by the arm and lead us out the door. They are the most non-confrontational people that we know, unless it's, well, us.
By the way, the bananas. I would grab the bananas as a whole and throw them. I get a big thing
Depends
of
on the
bananas
aisle.
too.
Depends on the aisle.
That's true.
Where are you? If you're up near if you're checking out.
I mean, I could throw a
Bingo.
Gatorade bottle.
I can't go to Publix, pass by the 10 items or fewer line, and not think of you guys now.
Good.
It's impossible.
Thank you.
I'm looking at people and what they have, and I'm counting in my head. I feel like I'm a psychopath.
I didn't, the Publix I go to, they have all these balloons. I did not see the Express about 2 weeks ago, and I had 20 things. I started unloading. This lady looked at me and she pointed, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I unloaded my whole cart and I got it." And they're like, "No, you can." I'm like, "The hell I can."
Nope.
All my stuff. I said, "I am so sorry." I said, "I'm embarrassed right now." Hops, I'm with you. If you're in the canned aisle, you could do some serious damage.
Yes. He could hospitalize somebody.
What's the best aisle in Publix?
All I can think of is the line from My Blue Heaven. "Look at you and the frozen foods. You're going to melt."
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Deeks to talk NBA in a little more than 15 minutes. Joe Theismann at the top of the hour. As we talk a little football this week, try to talk to some people, who've been in a Super Bowl, that sort of deal. The good, the bad, the ugly. That goes along with it. Joe's experienced all of that. So he'll join us in about 40 minutes' time. And David Dwork in a little more than an hour. Big regular season hockey game tonight. Bigger for the Panthers than the Lightning, but, key game. We start the second half of the year. And by second half, we mean 1/3 of the season left.
So it'll be an interesting week because it's Super Bowl week. We're fired up, obviously, but the Super Bowl being played out west, that means that all these shows that go out west,
right,
and Radio Row and all those things. Well, here's the thing. They're only 2 hours back this time of year, right? So it's 5:20 in the morning in Phoenix.
And I thought that they decided they're going to be 2 hours year round.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
But that means that a show that starts at 6 a.m. is starting at 4 a.m. out there, which means, and up until, let's be honest here. If there was one time, and not blame, there's only one reason that we're not at the Super Bowl this week. And that's that David left Fox to go to ESPN as a spotter role. It's because Troy took a job with Monday Night Football, or we had plans of being out there.
Totally. This year, and then in 2 years in New Orleans. Can't believe he got up. What? Take more money? What is wrong with you?
Did he not know we had planned on being on Radio Row? So it will be an interesting week for Miller and Moulton as far as how the guests come about.
Right. Like, Pat Kerwin. And we joked with him. We're like, we'll try to talk next week. He's like, the time change, that'll be interesting. But it is 2 hours. I mean, if it was 3, we'd have no shot. But 2, there's a chance, Mark. I mean, come on. Those of us, particularly of a certain age, I mean, we all know people who get up sometime between, 5 and 6 a.m. They don't sleep past that. Well, 6 a.m. in Phoenix is 8 a.m. our time. So maybe we can have a Pat Kerwin sighting this week. Maybe once. But you're right. I mean, all the radio that you're used to listening to, this will be 3 West Coast Super Bowls in a row when they're done. Last year, LA, this year, Phoenix, next year, Vegas. Not that that matters. It's the Super Bowl and all that. But I do think, though, it will severely, and before that was the pandemic. I don't think Radio Row will ever recover, Mark.
I don't either.
I mean, you and I were lucky enough, I went to a couple without you. We went to 3 of them together, 2 in Miami, 1 in Tampa. And it was rocking. In terms of noteworthy people.
It was on
walking
my
around
timeline yesterday. I sent you and our old producer a text yesterday because on my timeline popped up that it was 13 years ago that David Spade and Chris Rock were on our show. We were a local show in one market at the time.
Correct. And you get a hold of the right PR person, and they've got interview slots available. They're plugging a movie, and we're like, we'll take 520. Okay, you got 8 minutes. That's fine. And where are you? Well, we're in spot such and such. Okay, we'll find you. And sure enough, they walk them over, they sit them down.
And back then, more of the national shows were on Radio Row. Mm-hmm. Now, shows like the Dan Patrick Show, they're at a ballpark this week, and ESPN will have their own destination where their shows are. So that already took away from Radio Row because the celebrities and the big names are just going to locations for the big national shows. So they've tried to squash Radio Row in their own way.
Well, think of the Dan Patrick Show. It's 9 to noon Eastern. Well, that's 7 to 10 a.m. I mean, how many people are they going to get? How many names are they going to get, even if they were sitting on Radio Row? Because, Mark, you know how it is. I mean, the PR people walk them in. You see them come into the room, and everybody goes, oh, wow, Chris Rock's here. Never mind, when we were still doing Radio Rows, late in the week, Thursday or Friday, the halftime guest would perform, would do their press event either just outside the area where we were all broadcasting on Radio Row, or sometimes they would do it on a different floor, because usually it's in a convention center of some kind that's hosting Radio Row. And I think you're still kicking yourself because weren't we at one that Prince was at?
To this day, it's one of my, professionally, one of my biggest regrets. Prince is doing his press conference. Well, Prince doesn't do press.
No.
He never talks to the press. And I didn't think much of it. We had interviews scheduled all day long. A lot of that week is on tape. We're there very early in the morning. At that time, we were doing afternoons. And so we're just there to get whatever great guest we can get, put it on tape. We'll run it when we run it. And Prince is doing his presser. And all of a sudden you hear the band.
Right.
And Prince went up there and said, all right, I'll take all your questions. And then went into a 4-song mini concert and left. And instead I'm interviewing.
Right. Come on now. Come on. Mike Haynes, I think, just a Hall of Famer, great cover corner. Come on now. I think even Mike would have said to us, listen, if I were you guys, I'd be at the Prince thing, but okay.
I think we should have taken him up there and just continued the interview. But yeah, I mean, we were there, I think, when Springsteen did his interview. He didn't play, he did his interview.
Yep. I shook Sir Paul McCartney's hand in Jacksonville. All right. He was walking through the concourse after doing his, and I shook his hand.
So you're right. Radio Row will take a beat. It'll be interesting to see how Super Bowl week goes this week. I know one thing that goes right now. It's the Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with the K. Felipe, what do you have?
Look, Clutch is clutch. We go down the street to the Alico Arena, where North Alabama up 73-71. Final seconds of regulation, ticking on the clock. Isaiah Thompson with a rock. And this play.
Across the timeline. Thompson working on Lane. Into the lane. Fade away at the buzzer. It's gone! Thompson sends us to overtime.
Just like they drew it up, John, huh? He was looking to give that up. Didn't have an option. And what a money shot by IT.
An absolutely gorgeous fadeaway from the Purdue transfer Thompson to give him 22 and to give us 5 minutes of free basketball.
John Vitas, Greg Anderson with the local call, FGCU television there, ESPN Plus.
Clutch shot.
Right.
Not a clutch finish.
No, lost in overtime. They've lost like 5 in a row, 7 of 8. Season is circling the drain at this point. They need to suck it up on the road. They got a 3-game roadie coming up, but
that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Go to clutchspirits.com. Ask for Clutch Vodka anywhere that you buy your spirits and hashtag all your drinks with the hashtag Clutch Spirits.
Mark Deeks, who covers the NBA, coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Joe Theismann in 30 minutes. Are you fired up for this Super Bowl, by the way? We've had a few people in our Twitch chat room who are like, I got to be honest, this one's not doing anything for me. I'm like, wow, 2 best teams in the league, so to speak.
How can you not be fired up with 2 1 seeds playing?
Mahomes, really? The Kelsey brothers? I'm fascinated by this. I really think dad should be honorary captain of one team and mom should be honorary captain of the other. They should bring them out to midfield. One of them should do the coin toss.
There was a lot of momentum for mom flipping the coin. I will say that. That would be super cool.
Totally if you're the NFL. Come on. I mean, when are you going to get this again? Seriously.
But I know they determine who, because it's determined the visiting team gets to pick it, because, right there'd be another controversy. Which son gets to call the coin toss? That would be the favorite son.
Well, come on. Dad's got his favorite. Mom's got hers. We all know that.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They were just showing highlights of that Caitlin Clark girl from Iowa. Had another triple-double last night. She's one of the best players I've ever seen.
Right now, in bracketology, they have Iowa, I think, as a 2, And they have FGCU in a 7-10 first-round game winner to play Iowa.
Ooh. I'd love to get murdered by Iowa on national television.
Yeah.
Beast, DC. He's a beast. Pulling up from Curry range. I'm also really excited for the Super Bowl this year, partly due to the fact that I have no idea who the hell's going to win. I feel like it could go either way.
Hence the 1.5 point spread.
Yeah.
It's down to 1.5?
I don't know what it is right now. Oh, speaking, I hope this guy I sent him the email.
Yeah, I hope it is.
Oh, there he
too.
is. There we go. Good morning, Mark. Can you hear us all right?
Good morning. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Excellent. Thanks for doing this.
Excellent. Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
How are things?
Yes, they're all right. They're all right. I guess it's the early morning where you
Yes.
are.
Yeah, 7:30. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, middle of the afternoon here.
Yeah, I
So
know.
the only sunlight we get in January right now. Everything you've heard about English weather is not true, except for 2 weeks in February when it is. These are those 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Only been once. It was, a generation ago. When I was in college, and they had us all planned for cold weather. We're going to get all this hottest summer in the, it was like 1989, hottest summer in the history of England. We all had all sweaters and like, what the hell is this? I had a suitcase that I don't think I ever wore the entire
Summers here.
6 weeks was there.
Summers here are lovely. I don't know where our reputation has come from. Summers here are lovely. They really are.
Absolutely spectacular.
Thank you. I shall let the people know.
Sure, it was even sweeter in 2012 during the Olympics.
That was a golden summer, in fact. Yes, our little island nation showing the world how it's done, like old times. Beautiful.
Those were good games.
They were. Nothing went wrong. We were amazed. It's the British way to expect failure, but no, it all went very well.
It's tough not to screw up an Olympics.
Well, Montreal managed. You're right, though. A city like London should be able to handle that infrastructure, but nevertheless, we're very pessimistic, as would any nation be with a fallen empire.
No, blame it on Megan. Everyone else's.
Oh, people do. People do.
We got 10 seconds, guys. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark Deeks is kind enough to join us. He covers the NBA for Forbes. He's author of the Basketball Manifesto. You can follow Mark quite easily on Twitter. Mark Deeks, Deeks NBA. Mark Deeks NBA. Mark, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Yes, it's all good where I am in the middle of the afternoon. How are you?
We are doing fine. Obviously, the reason we reached out, trade deadline is Thursday at 3, but I don't know if it's a blockbuster, but it's a big one. Kyrie forcing a trade and getting dealt quickly to Dallas. Your thoughts on the deal?
That will be the biggest move of the deadline. And I do think it counts as a blockbuster on account of the fact that, irrespective of all the sideshow that accompanies Kyrie, and it always has done and seemingly always will do, he remains one of the best players that's ever played this game. Let's think about for a minute. He only played, I think, 146 games in 3.5 years with the Nets. It's a terrible return, but how good was he in them, especially this season? You can't call Kyrie the perfect guard. You can't call anybody that. But what mistakes does he make? The man is a brilliant ball handler. He's a brilliant shooter. He's a particularly brilliant finisher. He's not as bad as a defender, as people say. He's in the prime of his career, and that prime is exquisite. And we forget that sometimes. Now, the reason we forget that is because he ruins it with all the off-court stuff, with the attitude, with the inability to ever seemingly be content with his lot and settle down and commit to a team. We thought he'd done it in Brooklyn. He didn't. He was as antagonistic, if that's the right word, as ever. Nevertheless, it counts as a blockbuster, and therefore it counts as a big addition for Dallas. But there's always a but with Kyrie. Those other things cannot be dispensed with. They cannot be overlooked. They always will be there. It may only be a rental for Dallas, but if it is, then they have the same problem they always had, which is who is 1B to Luka, let alone who's our numbers 2 and 3. So if it is a rental, then they couldn't have rented anyone better. But if it is a rental, then they're not really any nearer than they were.
But if it is a rental, is this a championship caliber team now? We've been talking about the West for a while, Mark, that it's pretty wide open. How much better does this make the Mavs? How close does it make them near to the top of the West with just this move?
It gets them nearer, but certainly not the favourites on account of the defensive end. Now, I don't think it would be fair to excessively analyse the Mavericks until we know what team they have from Friday onwards, i.e. after the deadline. Because while they've made this move, I don't think it'll be their only move. And I say that with particular reference to Christian Wood in the front court, another rental, a productive but flawed player on an expensive expiring contract who has not had the most synergistic relationship with Luka or indeed any of the team. If you play him, Kyrie, and Luka as a trio, your defense is in trouble. Kyrie's, like I said, isn't as bad as advertised, and Luka can do it when he expends the energy. But to rely on all three of them for big minutes in your rotation is to put 3 defensive weak points. You've also just traded Dorian Finney-Smith, one of your best, if not the best defender, and others on the roster have defensive shortcomings as well. You can score with anyone, you can win individual games, but can you win a 7-game series when you're so vulnerable to the types of Nikola Jokic in particular? No. So as of right now, I do not see Dallas as anything more than a very unlikely outside contender for the West and the title. There is a tiny chance. I haven't got no chance, but it's not a great chance. But let's see where they're at. Let's see what they do with Christian Wood, with potentially Tim Hardaway. Are they going to shore up the defense? Are they going to shore up their paint? I expect they do. If they do, let's have another conversation.
Mark Deeks covers the NBA for Forbes, author of the Basketball Manifesto. Follow him on Twitter, Mark Deeks, Deeks NBA. Mark Deeks NBA. If you're Brooklyn now, I mean, you can't seriously think you're now going to be able to win multiple series in the East, can you? I mean, Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, now that you don't have Kyrie, I mean, do you keep KD and just get bounced in the first round of the playoffs and then wait for him to demand another trade, or do you move him by Thursday?
I don't think you move KD by Thursday, but I think you may make another move by Thursday, as we said with Dallas. However, I don't think it is a requirement with Brooklyn like it may be for Dallas, because whilst obviously they've taken a backward step by losing Harden, losing Kyrie Irving. Let's not forget also they recently lost James Harden. They also do have KD and Nick Claxton, who is a far greater player than I think is often regarded. and a bevy of qualities such as Spencer Dinwiddie, Seth Curry. This is not the favourites in the East. However, I don't think they lose that much because there is an element of addition by subtraction when it comes from Kyrie. As talented as he is, as spoken about, where was the good vibes, the chemistry? The Brooklyn did peel off, I believe, it's an 11-game winning streak and turn around their slow start to become one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But at what point was it harmonious? It may now be. If Durant wants to go by Thursday, Durant will be gone by Thursday. This will be the highest they can trade on him, and teams such as the Pelicans should and will be all over that. Of course they will. It's Kevin Durant. But if he doesn't, I don't think they'll force his hand. Why would they? He's still got it. He's having his most efficient season ever at the age of 84 or whatever it is. The man is incredible. I do think they will make, further additions, but nothing of substance. And I still think that they have an outside chance at the East. Again, not favourites, but no one has shut the door in the East. So they retain a chance.
Let's keep it a little close to where we are here in Florida. What would you do if you were the Miami Heat? Because to me, they're a team that is good, but not good enough to win it. I think they need another piece. What would that piece be to you, Mark?
Oh, Lord. I don't know. The issue with Miami, which I guess the Heat's brass may not themselves regard as being an issue, is whenever they are in that situation whereby they're good but not quite good enough, they always pick the same direction, which is to get better in the immediacy. They've never been a team to sell off, and tank's the wrong word. They're far too good for that. But they've never been sellers. They've always been buyers. We look at Kyle Lowry. There's countless examples over the interim period. I think they'll be active in the market, if nothing else, because you want to try and reconcile the Duncan Robinson situation, because that's a lot of money for not a lot of production. And being the elderly team that they are, they don't have the margins on that one. I think they'll stay in it. I think it's a first round exit as constructed, but never sleep on Heat culture, never sleep on Bam Adebayo, and most importantly, never sleep on Jimmy Butler.
So which player from Toronto is going to help somebody win a title that right now you don't think is going to win a title? Because let's face it, if the Raptors decide they're going to sell, they got 3 really good parts that they can sell. I mean, I would argue they'd all be difference makers to various degrees. I mean, are the Toronto Raptors going to determine the 2023 NBA champion?
That's a bold claim, and it's not one without basis, is it? I do expect them to sell. It would certainly in their best interest, I think, considering the underwhelming nature of this season. And I think they must particularly sell on Fred VanVleet, largely, if not solely, on account of his age. His age and his contract is not conducive to a team in their situation, whereas his quality is very conducive to a team in, well, Miami and Brooklyn-esque situation, although not necessarily those two teams. So I think VanVleet will move. I think he should move. I'm not going to go as far as to suggest where he would do so, but he would be a difference maker, not on the Kyrie Irving level, but not that far short. If they sell Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, to whom I have an intrinsic bias because he was born in London, then I would expect a high yield, because you're looking at quality two-way forwards who still have youth on their side. However, precisely because of that, I don't think they're the pieces to sell, because regardless of whether Toronto get back towards the top of the East next year or not, they're still going to need those two as foundational pieces. So I can't imagine they will be traded. If they are, I expect a high yield, and I do expect Fred VanVleet to be traded.
All right. If you're the Heat, do you think you could sell Toronto on, listen, we'll give you Lowry back, just a ceremonial final 25 games in a Raptors uniform. But then I'll give you, a future first-round pick, and pick somebody else not named Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo off our roster. If you're Toronto, is that enough to unload VanVleet and his $20+ million a year for the next 2 years?
It would be, I think, if it was the only offer, but I can't imagine it would be the only offer. I think you might need to up the bidding on that one.
Okay.
When you look at the West, I still think Denver needs a piece. I think I've called the West jambalaya. It's mixed, it's mismatch. We don't know what's coming out of it. So give me a player that goes to the West that changes how we think about one of these teams.
Denver are seemingly on the cusp of moving Bruce Brown, not because he's not good, precisely because he is good, but they are very aware of the fact that they can't retain him. Brown has played every position from point guard to center in his career, which is kind of amazing at his size. He's a unique piece that would be very beneficial to Denver, but because they can't keep him, they may move him in a package with Bones Highland. Now, if they do so, it's purely because they have to, not because they want to, but they will need defense. They already have enough offensively in just the one player, Nikola Jokic. You could put me out there and they'd be all right offensively. They will need some defensive pieces. And the irony of having to move one of their best defensive pieces in Brown to get such a player is unfortunate. However, I do expect them to be buyers for some wing defense and front court defense, and ideally a point guard of the caliber, if not style, of Monte Morris, whom they had to give up in order to remedy their wing situation in the offseason. So I agree with you that they are the best of a jumbled mix and far from cemented their place at the top. And as a result, I would expect them to be buyers on a fairly small scale. I don't think they're going to shake up the starting rotation, but we may see a new 7th, 8th man for them.
Do either of the big three in the East need to make a trade, in your opinion, Boston, Milwaukee, or Philly? Or do they just need to be healthy when the playoffs start?
No one needs to, Boston especially. I think they may look to, but then again, those three teams will also be prime candidates for and very hopeful to achieve success in the buyout market, which there always is. So I don't think they need to. I don't think they will, at least nothing of any substance. You may see a little bit of financial trimming, but no, I don't think they need to. I think all of them will acknowledge and think internally, we're good enough to win this. And they're all right. They all are.
MVP, is it going to be Jokic again, or did what Embiid did to him head-to-head the other day mean something?
I think it means something if you want it to mean something. I personally don't. I think you're looking at the MVP in Jokic. You're talking about a center averaging a triple-double who is literally unstoppable. I appreciate that Embiid made it his personal mission to go at him and score over him in the clutch, and that he was successful in doing so. But to what end? To the one successful regular season fourth quarter 5-minute stretch? Fine. If you want to base it on that, you base it on that. I don't want to do that. I think Nikola Jokic is the most valuable player in the NBA, full stop.
Shooting 63% from the field this season, by the way.
By the way, Mark, that is Felipe. That is our huge NBA fan. Huge. He is going to be emailing you on a regular basis. If it comes to the point where, it needs to stop, let us know. Okay.
I will do so, but by the sounds of it, he's on the Jokic train as well. So me and Felipe, we're all right.
Mark Deeks, he covers the NBA for Forbes. He's author of the Basketball Manifesto. Follow him on Twitter, Mark Deeks, Deeks, Mark Deeks NBA, Mark Deeks NBA. Mark, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it again.
I hope we can too. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good rest of your day.
Mark Deeks, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Nice drop in Felipe, by the way. Nice.
He's a center averaging a triple-double. He's only shot under 50% in a game once this whole year.
That is remarkable. Needless to say, friends of mine and my mother commenting they love a British accent in the show. Asking, is there any way we could do it daily?
As long as it's not you.
Well, that's not
everybody. I think everybody that texted you that would agree with that statement.
Well, in fairness, I'm not a British accent. As JP Shadrick said, little too much Jersey there. All right. Still a little Jersey comes through from time to time. Mine is a fake British accent. That is an authentic one. All right. I don't know about you, Mark. I could go for an authentic British accent segment every day.
I'm in. It doesn't matter what the sport is. Little NBA, little golf. Right. I'm in. Whatever we got to do. A little football from time to time as well. But just for those that did not know, Mark joined us via Zoom call. So we had 2+ minutes with him off air. And for those of you wondering, David got in one Megan question.
I wasn't a question.
No,
it was
one
just
Megan comment.
It was the comment. we were talking about some of the ills of the United Kingdom. And at the very end, I said, well, that's okay. You can just blame it on Meghan. And he said, oh, we will.
And some certainly do.
Yes.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. Appreciate a little NBA talk there from Mark Deeks on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mo Bamba versus Austin Rivers.
Yeah, Austin Rivers to me was way out. What are you doing going onto the bench? The play's not even. Austin Rivers is running up on it. Like Austin Rivers is talking after the game, like he did nothing wrong. I'm like, dude, you initiated the whole fight.
He missed the 3 and was talking shit. I'm like, what are you doing?
But then he went back when it happened. It went. That was bizarre.
I will say he was very apologetic afterwards, and he has not been a mature player. But afterwards, he said, "I was a jerk. That was dumb. That was awful. I can't do that."
Good. He always has been a brat, I will say.
Yes. Has not been a popular teammate either.
No. Chris Paul hated him. Then again, Chris Paul is a diva.
Yes, he is.
But whatever. Hall of Famer versus bench player. Taking the Hall of Famer side. Sorry.
Can you discuss the Orlando fight in a British accent? That's funny.
That would leave us in a dark pit of despair.
Yeah, Losman, here's the deal, though. Philly paid attention, did you notice, to that entire last segment? All right. It's tough to get more than 3 to 5 consecutive minutes out of Felipe with us. He kind of, wanders. But we did an NBA segment. He was all over it, baby.
Did we do good with our questions? Are you okay?
Yes. By the way, I was going to ask the MVP Embiid Jokic question. David took it right out of my hands. Thank you.
Oh, glad on Miller and Moulton that Felipe was going to jump in with the question.
Well,
you need to raise a hand.
I was going to, but then he asked the question. I've never heard my name said in a British accent like that. It was very.
Oh, maybe you can ask your girlfriend to do it.
Oh, please. She's Hispanic. I've heard that one too many times. By the way, you saw one of my plays, or I got an angle of that Dakota Rivers dunk. It was on top 10. It was number 4.
Yeah, the team was really excited about their play being top 4,
even though they lost.
Even though they lost again.
9 point.
I came this close when I saw it on Twitter. I came this close to retweeting it, but yet another loss, 5 of 6, and they're in 11th place in the conference. Congratulations on your top 10 play.
Would not qualify for the playoffs. Only the top 10 of 14 make the playoffs.
Can you imagine how good it would have been? And I feel like this is a stretch just because it's a regular season game, but how good it would look for that program if they would have just won the game.
What do you mean? No. Well, they're expected to win that.
Well, I know, but if they would have won it, they could have posted all those highlights and gotten the word around. Such a packed house would have made us look better. But when you look it up and see that it ended in an L,
it goes back. They don't get the word out. I drove by because they played Saturday night. I didn't know they were even playing. I drove by to go to Costco, and I saw their big marketing, which is the sign that says game tonight. Which you don't know if it's been up there for a week. You don't know when it got there. You got to call a guest.
Yeah.
According to Premier League rule W.51.4, according to Man City's in all this trouble, I don't know if you caught this morning, about 25 minutes ago, Premier League has referred numerous financial charges against Man City.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
8 o'clock hour on this first Monday of February. Super Bowl 57 week is underway. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Joe Theismann, kind enough to join us once again, a college football Hall of Famer, league MVP, Super Bowl champion in the Redskins/Commanders Ring of Fame. Joe, hope all is well with you and the family. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. It's great catching up with you.
What surprises you more looking back? That you were asked as an active player to be the color commentator on a Super Bowl, or the fact that no network's done it with anyone else since?
First of all, I was flattered and surprised that ABC asked me to do it. It was great working with Frank and Dan, two icons in the industry, and it was my first chance to be able to actually be in a booth. I guess, if you're going to audition, maybe that's the way it went. So it gave me a real taste and a flavor for what I wanted to do after football. But I was surprised and flattered.
Just curious, were you at all nervous? Because I know when you go play, the juices are going and you're playing, but it's a different animal and you're expected to do different things. Do you remember being nervous that day?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I mean, it's you're in a very unique situation. Football. I played 15 years of football, but you're in an entirely different environment now. I mean, you're talking about it. And when I got into the business, I talked a lot. I said a lot. And, you learn how to, speak in sound bites. The way we were always disciplined in our broadcasts were that, Mike Patrick or Mike Tirico, whomever was our play-by-play guy, which I work with both of them, you have to give them their chance to be able to set the game up. Your job is to explain why things happen. We're the why guys. not the what guys. The whats are what the play-by-play guys do. They tell you down and distance and weather and everything else. But we're the why guys. Why is this play run? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? And that's what I learned. But having a chance to be in the booth and, being with those two guys was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, what an incredible experience. Actually, there was only one other player in the history of the game that's actually done a championship game, and that was Jack Kemp, I believe, many, many years ago. He broadcast the game as well as an active player.
Yep, he was still active, and he was part of CBS's Super Bowl II coverage. And Joe Theismann, after playing in back-to-back Super Bowls, then the following year, his Redskins got eliminated by, I believe, the Bears in the '84 season. And with the Niners-Dolphins Super Bowl, Joe Theismann in the booth won the Super Bowl, obviously, with the Redskins. You can follow Joe on Twitter at Theismann7. Theismann, the number 7.
Got a new Twitter. Twitter account. Yep. It's at Joe7 Theismann.
Okay. Got it.
I had a third party one that had 156,000 followers, and now we've just got to rebuild again. Ever since Twitter, there's been a bit of a change at Twitter.
Yeah.
It's
been
Joe
7 Theismann.
It's
All
at
right.
Joe 7 Theismann. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll get the word out. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
What week is more important to the player? The week at home or the week on site? Okay. What's the more important week? Avoiding the distractions on site or getting your work in?
I think avoiding the distractions. There's not going to be a lot of changes because Andy Reid is so creative. You never know what he's going to come up with. I mean, he'd be so much fun to play with. He's like Joe Gibbs to me. Joe used to be the same way. I remember getting ready for Super Bowl 17. We put in what was called an explode package where we had different players line up in different positions because when we got in the red zone, Miami used to match up man to man. So we'd have Art Monk in the backfield and John Riggins on the wing and, one of the wide receivers on another. We had them all over the place. And when I got it was called our explode package. So when I got to the line of scrimmage and I went, everybody would shift to the positions that we wanted them in. And the Miami Dolphins would have to identify and point at one another and get a little confused, hopefully. And that was the creativity of Joe. We see Andy do the same thing. I mean, the last regular season game, he's got guys jogging out of the huddle like it's the longest yard with Burt Reynolds running around in a circle. But I think that, the coaches are the ones that will invest that first week to be able to try and come up with things. From a player standpoint, you want to get the tickets taken care of. You want to get the family taken care of. You want to get the travel taken care of. Because I've played when we've had 1 week to get ready, and I played when we had 2 weeks to get ready. But now to me, 2 weeks was a long time. And to sit and wait, it was a little uncomfortable. But now guys have bye weeks all the time during the season, so it's not an unusual circumstance or situation for the players or the coaches. But they're two very distinctly ways to prepare. And I think having the first week and take care of all the family stuff is the way to go. Then you've got your press conferences and your practices and everything else in the second week. So two different animals, but, I think the first week is the one to get everything done.
In a very short time, we've gone from Jalen Hurts, can he play in this league, to Jalen Hurts MVP. What's impressed you most about his maturation process?
His growth at the position. I think he's, obviously the arm is going to be a question like Patrick's ankle. These guys have played one football game in the last month. And, Patrick's played a bit more, but they're healing, and I think they're going to be at full strength. His ability to be able to process, who would think you can run the read option? And he rushed for over 750 yards. He's smart, really, really smart. I mean, you look at the different systems that he's had success in. I think he throws the ball better than most people thought. I certainly feel that he's really at a level, and when I look around the league and I see the magic, I mean, you're talking about, two MVP candidates. To me, these are the only two that should be considered. And I like his brain. I like his arm. I like his athleticism. and I like the way he's grown at the position.
Joe, do you think having experience in this game, whether as a player or I'm thinking as a coach, like the Chiefs staff has been in this situation far more than the Eagles staff. Do you think that has any relevance at all?
Not really. You played a lot of football to get here. Cincinnati and Kansas City had a familiarity. The Eagles had a familiarity with the people they were playing. I think that, I think being a new coach in this situation, you focus on what you focus. You get ready for the opponent and you don't get distracted by all of the pomp and circumstance that goes around the Super Bowl. But I'm not sure whether the experience of the Super Bowl is that big a deal for coaches.
Is it, though, for the coaches to try to corral the team? You talked about all the off-field stuff. Getting there, there's going to be a lot of guys that this is their first experience in the Super Bowl. So how much coaching is done just for the personalities in these first couple of days in Phoenix just to keep everybody calm?
It's like the first day of class if you're a teacher. You sort of have to lay down the ground rules. You're basically, you're talking to a group of men. And the first thing you do, actually the first thing they probably did this past week was say, look, you know how hard it was to get here. You know how difficult it is to get here. You don't want to waste this opportunity. So for 1 week of your life, if you want to go out, think of your teammates. Think of the effect that you're going to have on your teammates. Just think of the AFC Championship game. One play. You work 19 weeks to get to a certain point. And then all of a sudden, one play changes whether you go to the Super Bowl or not by one player. And it was unfortunate, yeah, but, you have to play with your head. You have to play with your heart. You have to play with your brain. You have to play, smart, and you have to prepare the same way. So I think right in the beginning, right, your first meeting right after the championship games, it's like, okay, guys, look, we're not finished yet. We're not finished. It's not time to celebrate. It's not time to have a party. We're not going to Phoenix for a party. It's our job. And we have to do our job the best we've ever done it if we want to walk out of that stadium champions. And that's the speech I think both coaches would give the players.
Gut feeling, both teams the 1 seed, both teams identical records, I believe. Point spread's going to be less than a field goal either way. What's your gut?
I like the Eagles. Defense wins championships. I've been sitting here going through some things in my mind because I'm headed out to Arizona this week. And you're right, both teams 14-3. It'll be a close game. Obviously Patrick's health is a question. I don't believe it's going to be at all. I think he'll be ready to go because he moved pretty well, last week. So another week will be fine. Jalen's the same way. I think his throwing motion looked a little bit stiff, but I'm sure that's going to be a hair. That's, quarterback's eyes watching another quarterback work. I think the Eagles defensively, that front four are going to be charged with keeping Patrick in the pocket and making him uncomfortable. And you've got to figure out a way. You have to figure out a way to make Travis Kelce not that big an issue in this game. If the Eagles can do that, it'll be interesting. And it's interesting. When you look at the Jaguars and Cincinnati game, okay, and then you look at the Eagle games, the Eagle games were with San Francisco and the Giants, they were walkaways. A.J. Brown caught 3 passes in one, 4 in the other, and those were like the early parts of the game. And, this is the guy that you have to get involved in this football game. This will be a 60-minute football game for the Eagles. Kansas City's already played 2 60-minute football games. So how soon will they be able to get it going? But their defense is just something special up front. And, offensive line's a defensive line. And the offensive line is really good, too. So yeah. I'm going with the Eagles because I believe in their lines.
In fact, both teams' offensive lines, they may be the 2 best or 2 of the 3 best in the league. Joe, whether it's a movie, whether it's a charity venture, a business venture, if you got something going on, we'll always help you out because you have always helped us out over the years. Safe travels, and give out your Twitter handle one more time.
It's Joe7, at Joe7 Theismann.
Joe Theismann. Joe Theismann, former league MVP, Super Bowl champion, college football Hall of Famer. Safe travels to Phoenix.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Joe Theismann, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Leaning Eagles. Sounds like he's picking the
Everybody I
Eagles.
talk to is leaning Eagles.
I know.
Including a couple of the guys that are involved in the show have been leaning Eagles.
I know. I might be waffling.
Uh-oh. Moulton, scattered, smothered, covered in chunk. We know that for certain. We'll find out who he picks. Thanks for listening, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Benny.
Bismarcky with Beastie Boys singing Benny and the Jets.
Wow.
That's something I never thought I'd see. And Biz losing the shirt early on, showing more chunk than we really need to see.
Are we thinking replay the 7?
Either that or the run, the thing we usually do, first 2 and the 7.
Well, the first 2, though, were very non-sports.
Yeah.
That is true. A lot of Grammy talk.
Your call.
Grammy and Pro Bowl, which is
Well, the other reason, quite frankly, since you chose the pod that you chose, okay.
There you go. That's true.
And then we commented, briefly about, but lost 5 in a row, 7 of 8.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I hate doing this because I love Philly sports. Like, I like the Eagles. But if they win the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, their only impressive win this whole year. Am I wrong? They beat Cooper Rush and Josh Johnson. Is this an easy route to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Is it not an easy route to the Super Bowl?
Very few, Mello. Very few.
Yeah. Because they're not getting paid for it, guys. Okay.
They're asking.
No, I know, but we did it for 15 months. They beat the Vikings very early in the season, soundly.
That was a Monday night game. You did that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mello, when Brady retired at 8:13, we kind of had to stay live from 9 to 10. Yeah, I would go over on Mahomes' passing yards because I don't think they're going to run the ball much or run it effectively. So I think that's the only way they're going to move the ball.
So over on Kelsey yards as well.
Not sure. That was nice, Adam. Very nice. Well, RCB, we're working on something significant. And if that happens, we're definitely going to have to renegotiate the contract because it'll be outdated.
By the way, Losman had a comment that I like, that he puts Mahomes in that don't bet against Brady category. It's tough to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Hopefully, Adam, hopefully. Lots of moving parts. It's a fluid situation. Adam, let me just put it this way. If this happens, you would not have to use Twitch much.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Dwork, who does local television on the East Coast of Florida and the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area for Channel 10. He's also got a terrific Florida Panthers hockey podcast. He will join us, talk about NHL All-Star Weekend and the Panthers with about 30 games left, and they're outside the playoffs. The playoffs started today. In fact, they got about 3 teams ahead of them to get just the final playoff spot. And the other teams have more games left to play than they do. I mean, the numbers right now are not good. This is the team that had the best regular season record in the league last year. Made a bunch of changes in the offseason. Right now, they're not working out.
And they don't appear to be a team that can go 8-1-1. You know, I mean, they've been so inconsistent that they're going to need a little, and that might be asking too much, but I'm talking, you know, a 6-2-2 10-game stretch where they can turn their fate around. They've not played consistently enough where you think they can play much better than 500 hockey for a course of 10 games, because that's who they are.
I know. And when you look at the talent, you go, why can't they put an 8-1-1 on the board? Seemingly 2/3 of the league can. You've got more talent than 2/3 of the league. Why can't you do it? And you're right, Mark. They probably need, you were right the first time, I believe. They probably need an 8-1-1 stretch if they are going to make the playoffs between now and the end of the year. So we'll talk a little pucks with David Dwork coming up in about 15 minutes. Listen, there's a couple of big developing stories in the world today. One is apparently just a massive, staggeringly tragic earthquake in southeast Turkey and in Syria, in which thousands dead and large sections of the country just absolutely ruined. So you're going to see and hear about that throughout the day. But in the sports world, also going across the pond, and I feel since we talked NBA with Mark Deeks in London that we can go across the pond for a few more moments. This, and I don't follow, the Premier League.
No, I understand, and I don't really either. I mean,
but this apparently Man City is being accused of like cheating at a level that no one's ever cheated at before financially, right?
Yes, over a long period of time. And the list of things that could happen to them.
Well, I mean,
this is double secret probation. This is Dean Wormer going after it.
Mark, when one of the options is expulsion from the league.
Thank you.
You have my attention. And also Man City, for those, and even if you're like me and you don't follow it, Man City was that, 4 or 5 years ago story out of absolute nowhere. Okay, the team had been relegated to like 3 levels below. Didn't they make it all? Wasn't that Man City?
That's Leicester City.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. But Man City was bought by a sheik or an Arab group that they were never, Man U was the franchise with all the history. Man City
they were the
was
Clippers.
the working man's team, if you will.
Oh, okay. Man City was the Clippers?
Yeah, Man City was the Clippers. Man
Okay.
City was the Clippers, 100%. And then they were bought by oil money, and now they've got filthy. Then they're buying all kinds of players, and they've become what everybody hates about European soccer. But as you mentioned, and I don't even care about any of that. The fact of the matter is, one of the penalties could be expulsion from the league.
Correct. Mark, this just in, that really affects your franchise value. I don't know if you're aware of that. If they kick you out of the Premier League, all right, the franchise value goes really down. I mean, it's one thing to be relegated because of bad play. In theory, you can come back the very next year. It's another thing if they expel you. Usually they don't ever allow you back. Mark, how many kids do you know were expelled from their school and then their parents show back up a few months later and go, yeah, last year went bad. Johnny he's apologetic. Okay. He admits his wrongdoing. Do you think you'd let Johnny back? Because that's not, I don't know about you, that's not how it went in the school districts that I was a part of. My college roommate freshman year, Mark, okay, he got kicked out of the dorms. And I wanted to continue rooming with him. I spent second semester freshman year solo in the dorm room. And in order to room with him, I had to leave university housing. They said, no. We will not allow him, even if his parents pay top dollar, we will not allow you and him to be in university housing. That won't be allowed. You got to go off campus. Oh, okay. All because he got a little runk and he peed out the third floor window. I mean, come on.
That'll do it. I was going to ask why.
Yep, there you go. That's why.
Wasn't really peeing out the third floor window. It was getting caught peeing out the third floor window.
Correct.
Try to make sure the RAs aren't around when you do that.
So that got him expelled from the dorms. Now, what is it Man City has done to get expelled potentially from the Premier League?
They have broken, apparently, every financial rule that there is. First off, I didn't know they had financial rules in this league, but apparently they do.
Tell you what, pretty liberal rules with the money they throw around.
But their statement was they're surprised by the issuing of these alleged breaches of the Premier League, particularly given the extensive engagement and the vast amount of detailed materials the EPL has been provided with, and the club welcomes a review of this matter by an independent commission.
Of course they do.
And having it being put to rest once and for all.
Uh-huh. Boy, that'd be something. Andrew Brandt went there with his little weekly newsletter in which he said, in league circles, we all kind of wondered, because with Brady retiring, they've talked about he made during his 23-year career, he made like $335 million. And he'll actually make more if he does the 10-year Fox thing with Fox than he made in a 23-year NFL career. And Andrew Brandt said, those of us in the NFL all thought something was going on between Robert Kraft and Tom Brady. We did. We all thought, because he said literally there was no other player in the league taking far less money like Brady, and certainly not a quarterback. And don't give me it's just because the wife made a ton of money. He goes, everybody wants to earn their share. It's a respect thing. And so Andrew Brandt's like, either he is so different than everybody else, all right, or we all think there's a little something that went on. And none of us have been able to find out what it was, if in fact there was anything.
That's an accusation right there.
Well, he threw it out there, in which he said, in fact, he even said the rumor was that, Kraft's whole big project or in and around the Foxborough Stadium there, okay, and that Brady got a piece of it. Now, see, to me, I would think that the tax records would expose that. So, but Andrew Brandt put it out there. He put it in print. He said, trust me, all of us in the league thought something was going on.
Well, and you always, not really joke, but you were always pretty factual in that you had Brady who was taking pay cuts, and you had Manning who wouldn't settle for a dime less than what he felt he was owed.
Both of them. Tom Condon was their agent. They wouldn't leave a nickel on the table. Ever. Still don't, by the way.
And still get paid quite a bit.
Absolutely. And they're worth it for what they bring to you. But it was just fascinating. Brady and Manning were always linked, and financially, they were polar opposites.
I don't think Caesars got their money out of the Mannings. I think that was not money well spent.
Okay.
Other than that, this Manning cast seems to be working, by the way.
It really does. We'll see if the Pro Bowl worked or not, though. Tomorrow, the ratings will be in. Miller and Moulton. David Dwork, some pucks next.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The tweet got, the only thing with TweetDeck, it kind of advances on without me noticing, but there was a tweet earlier that someone put out, David, about tennis in the U.S. Like 13 of the top 60 men, 12 of the top 60 women are American, which apparently is the most in quite some time.
But like we talked about, that's great. But somebody's got to start winning.
No, the
Right.
tweet said the same exact thing. It wasn't like they were.
Right.
That's why I kind of wanted to find the tweet for you, because I actually thought they were like, but who's going to win was basically at the end of it. Who's going to start winning?
Well, we detailed that the American men had a great Australian Open. Well, R.W. Ramsey, you're not alone. I mean, there are, there were quite a few people that said, hey, I found it fun. I watched more of it than I had in years, or, I watch it every year, but this year I enjoyed it a lot more than I had in recent years. And there are some who thought it was just atrocious.
Do you have Amazon Prime?
I think so.
Okay. Because with that, you get Prime Video streaming service. That's part of Amazon Prime. There is a show called Laudermilk, like Laudermilk Park. It's the guy from Office Space. I couldn't tell you his name, which I find the guy to be funny because he's got a very dry wit to him, and I love that. But the premise of the show, David, is he is a full-blown a-hole. I mean, an a-hole.
Okay.
And he's also a sober or in rehab, recovering alcoholic counselor, and he leads like an AA group.
As an a-hole?
As the biggest a-hole that's ever walked earth, and it's in a Catholic church, and he and the priest, the things they say back and forth to one another are spectacular. I happened to see a scene on TikTok from it. I'm like, what is this show? And I started watching immediately. And short-lived, 3 seasons.
You too, Los. You have a better day. Also, being a cameraman is kind of fun.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you call David?
Yeah, he's on hold.
Great. Thank you. So you like being a camera guy?
Because I do the same one every time. It's the baseline right in front of the student section. And
okay.
I started because they needed an extra guy, and I was like, I can operate a camera. I do one game, and they're like, you're literally the best cameraman we've had in the last 7 years. You know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what shots to get. I'm like, yeah, I watch a lot of basketball broadcasts. Yeah, I am good with a camera.
Talking on, not so much.
Whatever. Whatever, man. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You miss any part of the show, download it, floridasportsnetwork.com, like our interview an hour ago talking NBA and the Kyrie Irving trade with Mark Deeks. Like earlier this hour when we talked with Joe Theismann, looking ahead to Super Bowl 57. And like right now, David Dwork, who works for Channel 10 WPLG in Miami, covering the Panthers. He also hosts the Chirpin' the Cats podcast, which talks Florida Panthers all the time. Follow David on Twitter, David Dwork, DWORK. David, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for joining us. And how was All-Star Weekend?
I really don't know how to answer that, because you guys got me waking up the first day after All-Star Weekend at like 8:30 in the morning. So I'll let you know when like my body catches up to my brain. It was a lot of fun, but oh my God, what a marathon few days.
Was it too long? I'm serious, because is that what All-Star Weekend needs to be? Because as someone who loves the sport and has been to All-Star games, it seemed a bit much to me, David. Was it to you?
Well, here's the thing. Like, look, they announced next year's All-Star game while we were doing all this, and next year's All-Star game is going to be in Toronto, right? Beginning of February in Toronto. They're not going to be able to do half the things that they did this year. So I don't really blame the league for saying we're doing it in South Florida. We're going to have basically the entire region, at our disposal. Let's have a big beach festival. Let's do things on golf courses, and let's do surfboards, and let's do everything that we possibly can. So I don't really blame them for trying to soak as much out of the weekend or week as they could. Because it's just something that they don't get to do that often. The majority of the teams in the league are in cold weather cities, and your options are going to be limited for things like this. So, as somebody who was in the midst of it all, yeah, I'm a little exhausted, but it's like a good exhausted. It was fun. The only thing that really dragged, fellas, was that skills competition. I don't know what they were thinking when they put it together, but that thing dragged and took off forever. I feel like I'm still there almost, but overall, it was a pretty fun weekend.
David, what's going on with the Panthers? We've had enough of a sample size now where, in theory, we could point out what is not working and why. What's your best take on how, granted, a different team than the President's Cup team from a year ago, but to go from President's Cup to not making the playoffs 2/3 of the way into the season is catching all of us by surprise. What's going on?
This season, it's kind of been a plethora of things that have happened at different points that have held them back. I mean, early in the season, they were going through injuries. Their captain got sick, and he was out for a couple of weeks. It took him a little while to get back. There was rumors that he had pneumonia. The illness went through the locker room at that point. It was like around, I think, November. Special teams at one point was atrocious. That's really turned it around. It just seems like there's always one little thing that's just kind of like a pin in their side almost. And then you throw all that combined with the fact that they've got new coaches, new systems that they're trying to learn. They very much are not trying to be the team that we all kind of fell in love with last year, the high scoring, high octane, end-to-end fun games, the comebacks. And, on top of all that, they were winning almost every night and doing it by scoring 4 or 5 goals. So this year, they knew it was going to be a challenge. When I say they, I mean like the front office. They knew it was going to be a challenge just because financially they were so constrained by the dead money they had under their cap. And some of the contracts that are coming off the books after this season. So, not to put words in anybody's mouth, but I know this season was really just kind of a survive, try to get through it and maintain. Just because this is a team, as you guys know, when you look at the roster, they're set up for a while. There's a lot of talent on this team that's locked up for years to come. They know they're going to be a team that should be a contending team, especially after this year when they can spend more money. Now, all that being said, there's no excuse for losing when you have the talent that they have. They should be a playoff team this year, assuming no major injuries or anything like that. They will be getting one of their best offensive players back in the next week or so, and Anthony Duclair. That should certainly help. Again, and I feel like we've talked about this before, guys. It usually comes down to goaltending, and goaltending has been questionable at times. And then the last few weeks where your top 2 goalies have been out of the lineup completely at a time of the season where you very much need to turn things around and try to get into that playoff push. Because as you said, you're almost 2/3 of the way through the year. They're going to have challenges. Hopefully coming out of the break now, they're pretty much completely healthy. We're going to find out for sure today, but I anticipate both of their top 2 goalies being back dressed in the lineup tonight. and hopefully they have enough oomph to get them over the hump and into the playoffs. But yeah, this year has been night and day compared to what we experienced last season.
Why the lack of consistency? I mean, you went through a lot of the reasons, but it seems that now going forward, are they going to be a buyer? Are they a seller? Or are they standing pat? Because it's this, they don't seem to be a team that can win an 8 out of a 10 run right now. And that's almost what it's going to take to make the postseason. One little run could change the direction of this team for the rest of the season. Will they?
Going into the break, they did win 8 out of 12 with the last 4 of them coming without either their, with their last 4 games coming without either their top goalies. So they are kind of showing those signs. But I mean, in terms of consistency, it's really hard to put your finger on it just because there have been so many different obstacles for them to overcome. It's, you know, I'm trying to like search through my head as I'm you know, blabbering about the answer, but yeah, really there's like nothing that I'd put my finger on specifically. I think that there's been different points where they've had different things to get through, and now hopefully, you know, the injuries, you know, that's something you can't really control, but that's in the past. You would hope systematically they're starting to figure things out. The players are starting to get a little bit more confident, committing things to muscle memory, like things like that. And you also, you know, you got a bit of a different leadership coming in with Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar leaving, Matthew Tkachuk coming in. You got some more veteran guys like Mark Stahl coming in, and his brother Eric. So that, you know, slight change in the dynamic in the locker room. Maybe I think we're at the point now where none of that matters. It's just win or shut up, and they know that just as well as we do. So, you know, we'll see how they come out. Tonight's the first game against Tampa that everybody hates down here, and it's a good measuring stick for them to jump off and jump into the second half.
A great way to start post All-Star break. Lightning Panthers sunrise 7 o'clock, and the Panthers need the 2 points desperately. David Dwork covers the Panthers for Channel 10 WPLG in Miami. He also hosts a Chirpin' the Cats Florida Panthers podcast. Follow him on Twitter, David Dwork, DWORK. The changes that they made, were they necessary? You know, I mean, you're not an old guy. We're in our 50s. The Detroit Red Wings had a lot of talent in the early to mid 90s. Okay. And then they made some changes. And Scotty Bowman said, listen, we could play 5-4-6-5 games all the time and we'll never win the cup. All right. We need to change. And he made some key personnel changes, and he totally got largely the same group of guys to play a completely different style of hockey. Is this what the Panthers are trying to do here? They had their fun for 2 years going up and down the ice, but now it's about winning the cup, and these changes had to be made.
I like that comparison, actually. That's pretty good. And yes, that I think, did they need to make the change after everything that happened last year? Maybe not, but I think there was a little bit of like a knee-jerk shock reaction to that 4-game sweep of Tampa when you played Tampa the year before, and you probably really, if it's not for an overtime goal by like your fourth line thumper, Ryan Lomberg, in game 3 the year before, Florida may have gotten swept 2 years in a row. So there may have been some thought like, okay, we've got a good team, but we can't get past the one team that we're going to have to get past if we want to get anywhere right now. And I think that kind of went into it. And they wanted to bring in a coach that was a little bit more structured, a little bit more experienced. Now, granted, it would have been cool if there was a Scotty Bowman to go after and bring him in, as the Red Wings did. The Panthers didn't have that option. They went out and they were blown away by Paul Maurice in the interviews. They really liked what he had to say. They thought his plan for how he wanted to execute with this team and the roster moving forward was something that they were aligned with. And, it just comes down to, you've got a guy in Paul Maurice who's been around since he was in his 30s coaching in the NHL. He's been around since the 90s coaching in the NHL. He's seen a lot. He knows a lot of guys, and they liked what he brought to the table. And that compare that to Andrew Brunette, who, he had never been a head coach before. He was very much a player's coach. He had not that far removed from his playing career. The players loved him. And obviously the fans were quite happy with the style of hockey that he was putting out there for everybody to see. I don't think clearly management did not think that was going to be what would get them over the hump, and they went a different route. It's still obviously a bit early to put a stamp on how everything played out, especially knowing that this play was beyond this season. They didn't bring in Maurice thinking, okay, this is the Stanley Cup year. This is going to happen now. Everybody knows that they're playing a bit of a long game. But that being said, the jury's still out. Right now it's tough just because, comparing apples to oranges, comparing one year to the next, it's night and day. So, we'll see how it plays out, but they they definitely wanted to change things up. I think the 2 playoff losses to Tampa, I don't want to say opened some eyes, but it, maybe felt like they got smacked in the back of the head, and they didn't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over. So here we are.
I understand with 24 games left that there is no such thing as a must win. But does tonight feel like a must win? Like you mentioned, they actually had a little something going into the All-Star break. They come out of the All-Star break with the team that they hate more than life itself. Okay. Do they really, if there's going to be a run to make the playoffs, need to win tonight? Like, can you see the run happening if they take a 4-game winning streak into tonight and the Lightning beat them like they often do?
Yeah, I don't know games this early as must win, just because when I think must win, I'm thinking, okay, if you lose, you're done. That's it.
Right.
Over.
I got it.
And no, they've got, there's enough games left on the schedule where they could go on, whether they need to go on a big winning streak and win 7 or 8 in a row, or whether they need to just pull off winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, and keep something like that going. It's still early enough to where they could stumble and still catch themselves. But again, going into the break, they got really lucky with that Boston game, because they should have gone in on a losing streak without their goaltenders. After, Alex Line did a great job. He was heroic for them. He's literally leaving it all on the ice for them, and credit the 30-year-old AHL goaltender for coming up and doing the job that he did. But if they didn't have that crazy comeback win against Boston where they score with a second left to tie it and then like 12 seconds into overtime, it's a little bit of a different feeling, I think, going into the break. So coming out now, you hope that they can ride that a big win against Tampa, your interstate rival, the team that's beaten the crap out of basically everybody in the Eastern Conference for the last few years. Yeah, I think that would go a long way towards, boosting their morale, getting them kind of off on the right foot in the second half. But I'm still probably, assuming they don't go and start losing every single game, I think we're a little ways away from the must-win category. Okay. But again, it's going to dictate how they play over the next couple of weeks, how soon that mode comes in. I just don't think they're quite there yet.
David Dwork covers the Panthers, Channel 10 in Miami, WPLG. Also, he hosts a podcast. Chirpin' the Cats is the Florida Panthers podcast. Chirpin' the Cats. Follow David on Twitter, David Dwork, DWORK. All right, go back to sleep. Sorry to bother you.
It's always a pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, David.
David Dwork, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
I was thinking what you asked about the must win, and it is too early, but it's winning and winning the right way. They go and shut Tampa down a little bit tonight. It would go a long way, because even though they got a little bit lucky in that Boston game, they still held Boston down, which no one's been able to do this year.
Okay, they're 3 points out of the final playoff spot, which doesn't sound like a lot. Here's the problem, though. There's 3 teams ahead of them between them and the final playoff spot. They've all played less games than the Panthers. In fact, the team that holds the last playoff spot right now, the Penguins, has played 49 games, and Florida has played 52. So not only are you 3 points back, you're 3 games behind. Okay, in theory, if the Penguins were to win those 3 games, you're 9 points out of the final playoff spot, if you know what I mean.
I got you. I'm not worried about games in hand at game 50. I'm not yet. It's a little too early for that.
Okay.
I get the point that you're making. The problem is they're so far back. It's not just a matter of beating the teams below you in the standings. There are too many teams that are above you. You've got to start beating the Islanders. You got to catch Buffalo. You got to catch Pittsburgh. And I don't know if they have the talent to do that right now, particularly the way they've been playing. As we've talked about, David, they have a little 4-gamer here, but they've had trouble being consistent this year.
They need to win tonight. They need to win. By the way, I mean, this 4-game winning streak got them above 500. I mean, if you're below 500 in the NHL, I mean, basically, you skate around the rink with a sign on your head that says "We suck." I seriously, there's like 7 teams below 500 in the whole damn league. Okay, and the Panthers were one of them. A week and a half ago.
There are only 2 teams below 500 in the entire conference.
Right. Right. I mean, so they have too much talent to be playing this way.
So you may have a little bit of a point there.
But, if you're looking for something tonight, little something, all right, I'm telling you, there's very little hitting in the NHL regular season anymore. There will be hitting tonight.
If you say so, I will be watching for certain I don't know about the whole hitting thing. We're a game
Guaranteed.
removed from the All-Star break.
Guaranteed. Kachuk, Bennett will be out there first 10 minutes of the game throwing their weight around. And the Lightning will go, oh, really? You want to play it this way, do you?
I hope so. Might be worth a drive tonight. Such a quick trip. Oh, Lightning Panthers. Now you've got me intrigued, David. Time to go to StubHub. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for